The anchor of the awards portion of our luncheon is the Aaron Wodolski Award for Lifetime Scholarly Achievement. The Aaron Wodolski Award is to recognize a lifetime achievement for scholarship in budgeting and financial management. I'm grateful to the awards committee of Yilin Hu, Jonathan Justice, Michelle Lofton, and Bob Bland. The committee identified Kurt Thurmaier as the 2025 recipient of this prestigious award, and they had this to say about Dr. Thurmaier. Kurt Thurmaier's scholarly accomplishments demonstrate a long, consistent record of publications with both depth and breadth in public budgeting, financial management, and local governments. He has published over 40 peer-reviewed journal articles and authored or edited 6 books, including the influential Policy and Politics in State Budgeting from 2001. His early experimental work on decision-making by local government budget examiners helped launch the multiple rationalities model of budgeting, a framework now foundational in the study of micro-budgeting and adopted by other scholars to explain how political, technical, legal, and economic rationalities shape budget analyst behavior. He has published in top-tier journals in the field and made novel theoretical contributions to intergovernmental collaboration, participatory budgeting, and performance measurement. Thurmaier's work is also notable for its global reach. He has conducted field research in Kenya, Tanzania, Poland, and Malaysia. His long-standing commitment to integrating behavioral, international, and applied dimensions to budgeting research has profoundly shaped the field and reflects a career of intellectual leadership and practical impact. Please join us, Dr. Thurmaier. Congratulations.
Justin says I only get 70 minutes, and I have so many people. I want to thank Susie, Zach, and Catherine for nominating me for this amazing honor. I want to thank my wife of 42 years, Janine, who agreed to let me lead a secure career for the poverty of a PhD program with a second child on the way. And our 2 daughters who put up with all the days away, things like missed events, hosting students and colleagues, and all of their support. I have a lot of mentors in this room, and some who are not with us. Irene Rubin, Tom Roth, Marilyn Rubin, Jeff Straussman, George Fredrickson, David Rosenblum, Paul Posner, Bart Hildreth, Jim Savage. There's so many. Thank you for the mentorship. It's something that we do at ABFM. I want to thank my doctoral students. Many have become my co-authors. David Mitchell, Erica Cheka, Franklin Muthoni, Toji Madueki, Casey LaFrance, and others. I want to point out David Boyle, who was my very first internship placement as an MPA student at Iowa State. And he's done well. He's done well. I want to thank my research colleagues, Catherine, my first book project co-author, Susie Leland, my second book co-author, Chris Goodman, my current colleagues at NIU. We have a super collegial decision-making ethos, and it really made leading the faculty pretty easy, so I could actually work on research even while being chair. I want to really especially thank my ABFM colleagues since my first conference in 1989. Yeah, I'm that old. We are tough sells, and you have to be at your best here. And yet you know we can provide constructive critiques of each other's work because we have a deep respect for each other. And we know this is a safe place to try out new ideas. And especially we are nurturing our doctoral students who are learning what a terrific scholarly community they have landed in at ABFM. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with Yilin Hao, Phil Joyce, and Catherine to develop the pioneering doctoral consortium in public budgeting and finance, which is developing a cohort of young scholars who are able to learn from the top scholars in the field, while creating lasting networks of their colleagues for their careers. So if you are an alum or a current consortium student, will you please stand up? Then send it to him. Thank you. And if you are a consortium liaison faculty member who have given guest lectures in the consortium, you want to stand up, please. I also want to thank Ronald and Stella, our guests from Bonet County, Kenya. They're Franklin, Lithonia, and I have been conducting research on participatory budgeting, and they're over here today. Ronald over here has been very helpful in helping us, Franklin and I, really get access to people that do that research, which has really been fun. So I'm going to offer 3 suggestions for current doctoral students and early career scholars for academic success. First, focus on a big question and follow where it leads you. When a student asks me if they could be my doctoral student, I ask them a question instead. What's your question? What is it you want to know? What's the problem that you want to figure out? If they have a question, I'm willing to help them begin to answer it. So what's my question? My question is, and has been, what is the relative weight of economic and political factors in public budget decisions? This stems from my years as a Wisconsin State Budget Office analyst. I was assigned to local government and economic development issues. And that anchored my understanding of these 2 forces that are going on in public budgeting. And then when I went to Maxwell for my PhD, I read this 1940 article by V.O. Key about the foundational notion that the idea is that budgets reduced to value decisions decided politically despite all the efforts of reformers to try and make it economically rational. It drove my dissertation with the behavioral budgeting experience about closing libraries or not. I've got only a few minutes, otherwise I regale you with that story. Second, I want to suggest that you stay tethered to that question, but don't hesitate to follow your curiosity. Susie Leland talked me into analyzing the economic and fiscal impacts of city-county consolidations, and that led us to 3 books. The last using a quasi-experimental design that was lauded by none other than Eleanor Ostrom, which we're quite proud of. My career question is now leading me to focus on Jonathan Haidt's moral foundations theory, testing the degree to which we can link budget preferences of citizens with their underlying moral foundations. If budgets are value statements, we need to look deeply at the value conflicts in our national polity today and determine how to reconcile them so that we can move forward in greater harmony for a more prosperous and healthy future for ourselves, our children, and future generations. Haidt notes that a cognitive science has found that value decisions are made in 100 milliseconds. 75 of those are back here in the amygdala, and only 25 are in the frontal cortex. That means that most value decisions are based on worldviews developed from lived experiences, not data-driven arguments. Just hard for SS scholars to believe, but it's true. So when candidates Trump vowed to be the avenger against a broken system, he found a ready audience in those for whom their worldview is bleak in a system that has failed them. Public budgets, funding policies and programs that have failed them. So how can we better understand how the moral foundations of our citizens with different worldviews shape their preferences for public budgeting and financing the programs they care about? That's a challenging question. And I'm excited to be working with a team, investing our time and intellect into this line of inquiry. Third, get your own data. It's a peeve of mine. Collect the data that answers your question instead of using the data someone else used to answer their question. Experiments and surveys are pretty inexpensive these days. $2,000 to $3,000 can get you a decent sample of 1,000 subjects in about 2 to 3 hours. Use mixed methods that go beyond some Heckman upside-down coefficients that maybe mean something, but are pretty shallow. Interviewing real people, along with survey or experimental data, gives one richer and more credible insights than econometric coefficients. And interviewing is a lot easier in 2025 than in 1998 when Catherine and I had to travel to 11 state budget offices to gather data for our book. Zoom teams ain't perfect, but they do link you face-to-face with someone who might have the answers that you seek. Last, think big thoughts. Don't tinker on the edges. I had a disastrous job talk from my first job at KU in 1990. David Rosen, not that I knew it at the time, but David Rosenblum found me in my cubbyhole afterwards and told me that KU faculty hated it. What the hell did you talk about? Well, I was working on a project for the information studies faculty about how much states were spending on information technology. Why didn't you talk about your dissertation? And it kind of clicked to me that I was in the room with John Malbandian, and he kind of leaned back and said, so, we're interested in attacking big questions here. We are not interested in thinking around the edges. And I've never forgotten that sobering conversation, and I was blessed that they still took a chance and hired me for my career. Otherwise they wouldn't be. So invest time in big ideas. When you climb Kilimanjaro, it's not a technical climb. It's a slow, long walk with less and less oxygen. But when you get to the top, at 19,341 feet, it's an amazing feeling. And you can ask Jonathan Justice, who did it with me in 2019. Finally getting a big question answered in your career can give you the same high. And that's what we should be about, answering the question that moves us study after study, step by step. Technology has its place, of course. A couple weeks ago, I was with my 5-year-old grandson, and we were sitting around, and a fly landed on the window. I hate flies. And we're keeping my eye on the fly. I said, Arthur, hand me the newspaper. And he said, what's a newspaper? I said, you know, that thing where you read stories. He handed me his Chromebook. That fly never knew what hit him. So Justin's getting nervous. 70 minutes are probably up. So I'll simply close with this. It's a great honor and a privilege to belong to this community of scholars. Many of you have become good friends over my nearly 40-year academic career, especially my former students. You know, there are damn few, if any, scholarly communities like ABFM, where we disagree about almost everything, but we do so politely. And we respect each other in a world where, indeed, it's a rare commodity. So, thank you for letting me be part of ABFM for 38 years of counting. I very much appreciate this honor.